Hello everyone and welcome to the Transit Nomad family. In this video we will be discussing what I loved about Belgium and why it's worth visiting. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that I'm in Belgium for a couple of weeks, and at the end of this trip I'll be recording my final verdict video comparing Belgium with other countries to help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. With that being said, let's begin discussing those things that I loved about Belgium. It's going to be 10 different things in a random order. I do want to point out that we are currently located at this very cool monument. I'm gonna zoom it in a little bit so you can have a look at what it looks like. It's located right next to Brussels. I believe it's within the Brussels city area, but it might be just outside the city, as it is a little bit away from the city center. It does look very, very impressive. It was built, I believe, in the late 1950s, I might be wrong, as a symbol of unity of the European countries, and it still stands here today, kind of like an early sample of modern art. I'm generally not a big fan of modern art, but this does look pretty impressive. So as we walk towards this art piece, I'm going to begin discussing those things, and we'll start with number one, which is architecture. Belgium is full of many different architectural styles. Fortunately, not just modern art, but there are a lot of really beautiful Gothic style buildings, Baroque style buildings, classical style buildings, medieval style buildings, and all kinds of different styles. I'm not an expert on architecture. I just know that it looks very beautiful, and every building is different and unique in its own way, which I really appreciate being able to explore and feel the energy of every little building that's in my way. So definitely Belgium architecture is very impressive, and it's definitely a good reason to check it out. Now, for the reason number two, you can see it right in front of you. It's actually nature. Belgium is full of very beautiful parks, and the nature naturally is very, very beautiful. It's very green. There are a lot of forests, lots of gardens, lots of really picturesque destinations. No matter where you go, you feel almost like you are in a painting, which is very impressive. I really appreciate being able to see so much greenery around me, and a lot of it is not man-made, but it's just natural. Belgium happens to be in a beautiful setting, in a good location with lots of beautiful nature. The next thing I want to mention is Belgian small towns. It's full of different kind of small towns that I've never heard of, probably you've never heard of, but they are so much fun to explore and so much fun to visit, and each small town is different. It has like a square, the main square, and lots of little streets going away from that square, and each one is different. I've visited some cities like Leuven and Antwerp and Brussels and some others, and each one is really cool. Even the area where I'm staying, I believe it's called Wivulder or something like that, it's really, really cool, and there's definitely something to explore when it comes to restaurants, galleries, little boutique shops, and the architecture. As I mentioned, every little town has something to offer, which is pretty awesome. Now that we are next to this awesome masterpiece, you can see how huge it is. It really is very, very, very big and tall, and not a lot of people are hanging out here because, as I was saying, it's a little bit outside of the city center, and I believe that might be one of the reasons why it's not as crowded, which I consider to be a good thing. And they have also some other modern art here. Again, I'm not a huge fan of modern art, but I think in this particular case it kind of blends in pretty smoothly. Now, the next thing I want to mention, I believe it's number 4, is the pedestrian areas. So everything around Belgium, no matter if it's a big city or a small town, is built for pedestrians, and people are a priority over cars, and this makes it a very comfortable experience for walking around and exploring. It's very, very nice. You have lots of sidewalks, you have lots of crossings, you also always have a very good idea of where to go, and you feel that you can walk anywhere. You don't need a car, you don't need to worry about driving, because you can always reach your destination on foot. And I really appreciate that, coming from California, where you really hardly ever feel like you're a human unless you start driving. And another thing I noticed in Belgium, which I really liked, is that it doesn't have a lot of traffic lights. And you might think traffic lights are a good thing, but if everything is designed for pedestrians and there are no traffic lights, it means you don't really have to stop, because you are the priority. You can just keep walking and drivers will stop for you. And actually drivers do stop for you. It's amazing. But even before you start crossing the street, I see drivers slowing down, and it certainly is like a very good feeling when you feel respected in that way. Unfortunately, it's not the case in all different kinds of places. I'm looking at the notes here. That was actually one of my points, drivers stopping for pedestrians. It's very noticeable, because I came from London, and in London drivers seem to keep going as long as they think they have a chance to go. They keep going, and you kind of have to be careful, because you don't know in the end if they're gonna slow down, if they're gonna stop, or they're gonna keep going. And you always have to have this kind of tense feeling. But in Belgium, I don't think I've ever seen any situation where the driver did not stop or did not slow down. They are always looking for pedestrians. I believe that's how they are taught from the very beginning, and or maybe they have strict enforcement of these rules, or it's just part of the local culture. Whatever it is, I love it. It's definitely welcoming for pedestrians. The next thing I want to mention is actually the bicycle infrastructure. You can see a lot of bicycles everywhere in Belgium. Whether it's a rental or a personal bike, they have lots of bike lanes, they have bicycle parking, they have bicycle bridges, and they have lots of maintenance facilities for bicycles and services for bicycles. Everything here is designed for bicycles. And if you're coming from a place like California, you might be a little bit shocked, but bicycles are very common here, and you have to respect their space. It does take some getting used to, because sometimes you just see bicycles going everywhere, and they do get upset if you get in their way. Some of them do, and I can understand that. I can respect that. Riding a bicycle is a very healthy way of getting around. It's also environmentally friendly, it's affordable, and I believe it is a great way to get around. So I think it's a good thing that Belgium offers this kind of infrastructure and this kind of culture for bicycles. I certainly appreciate it a lot. It just takes some getting used to if you are a pedestrian coming from another country where this is not as common. It definitely takes some getting used to. But I love riding my bicycle, and I hope that if I come back to Belgium in the future, I have a chance to do that too. Now, the next thing I want to point out is always being able to find a seat when you are on public transit. I know that in some places, like for example, I was in Italy a few months ago, the trams and buses were often packed, and it was difficult to find a seat. I would always have to stand. I would have to wait, and then I would have to stand inside the bus or inside the tram, and it was not like a one-time thing, it was always happening. Or when I was living in Taiwan in the past, in Taipei, I would always have to stand on the MRT unless I was riding late at night. Then I would be able to get a seat. But during the daytime, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, during the busiest hours, it's always full. And it might be okay if you are going on a short ride, or if you like standing, but I believe that most people prefer to feel comfortable and maybe sit and read a book or listen to some music or message their friends or co-workers or do something productive, and usually sitting down is a much more comfortable way to do these kind of things. So I really appreciate the fact that in Belgium you can sit down and take care of your business, whatever it is that you need to do. I have not seen any packed train or packed bus or packed tram so far. Maybe it happens, but I have not seen that in the last couple of weeks. Now, the next thing I want to mention is easy train travel. I come from California, where you're lucky if there is a couple of trains going somewhere per day. But in this case, you have trains arriving and departing multiple times every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, sometimes every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes, depending on where you're going. They have trains everywhere, and the frequencies are very convenient. You don't have to wait for too long, and it's very easy to go from one place to another place by train. It's also very comfortable, it's air conditioned, the seats are very soft, and they have power outlets, and it's very fast. It doesn't get stuck in traffic, and you can go to another city even if it's far away. You can go there comfortably by train. There are a lot of train stations. The network is very extensive. There are a lot of different lines. It does take some time to figure it all out. It also takes some time to figure out how to buy tickets, what tickets to buy, and all of that. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes very comfortable, and I appreciate this about Belgium. And the thing number 10, it's my personal favorite, I saved it for last, is availability of vintage transit vehicles. In many countries, they don't care about their history as much, or they don't have the funds to maintain their older transit vehicles. But here in Belgium, in Brussels in particular, you can still ride old school PCC trams in regular service in 2025, and they have a urban transport Brussels tram museum where you can ride trams that are over 100 years old, and they have certain dates when they operate, and you can buy a ticket. It's fairly affordable, only 13 euros per person in 2025, and you can experience all these different old trams, this kind of tram, that kind of tram. You can also ride old buses, Van Hool buses made here in Belgium, the old school ones, before they had the low floor, before all of that. And you get to ride these trams, and I believe this is awesome that they are taking care of their older transit vehicles, and they still maintain them, and they are at the point that you have a chance to enjoy it. If you are into transit like me, that is what my channel is all about, exploring cities through the lens of public transportation. And that's why I chose to come to Belgium. That is the main reason, because here I get to ride these old trams. Many cities in the world, many countries, they do not offer this kind of opportunity. But in Belgium, there are multiple cities where you can ride vintage transit vehicles, whether they are in regular city service or they are just available for rides at museums on certain days. Either way works, as long as you have a chance to do that. Like, for example, in San Diego, where I spent a very considerable amount of time of my life, they don't have any vintage transit vehicles at all. Also, the same thing applies to Los Angeles. They have some museums away from the cities, but it's very limited compared to what you see here in Belgium or what I experienced in London. So definitely, for a transit lover, this is definitely a good destination, because the public transportation is very developed and it works. It's more efficient, and there is a lot we can learn from Belgium and other European countries. With that being said, I would like to point out that as an active traveler and business owner with experience, I might be able to assist you with trip planning, life coaching, and business consulting, with all the details available at buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. This is where you can also find lots of exclusive content on many different cities around the world, my secret tips, PDF guides, and the option to request a custom video on any topic that matters to you. Thank you everyone for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.